Hey, it's Midnight Raven, and today we're doing another diet inspired video. So, if you're new to my channel, welcome. I am the Midnight Raven. This month of July is the 30-day fitness and health challenge, and if you haven't already checked out my playlist, I implore you to do so. I've loaded videos every day throughout July so far. Each day has a different theme. Some is dieting, some is exercise. I am loading the 30-day fitness challenge exercise videos every day, so if you haven't started that as well, no time like the present. But today we are looking at another diet topic, and that is diets that work number 2. So if you didn't know, I'd already done diets that work number 1. So if you want to check that out, I will link that down below. So today we're going to look at diets that work. These are diets that have proven results, effective weight loss. You may or may not have heard of all of these. There are 6 in total today. We're going to look at the basics of each diet, the drawbacks and the positives, because with every diet there's a positive and a negative. So the first diet we're going to be looking at is one called the mindful eating diet. Now this is a diet that is where you eat slowly and deliberately. That way your body responds to the food. So what do I mean by that? Basically, this diet, you eat slowly when you're actually hungry, and then you eat basically with intention, actually being hungry. The positives is that it recognizes hunger. That way you only eat when you're actually hungry. That way you're not overeating and you're not binging. It can be that your eating is due to emotional triggers. So you may find you're more hungry when you've had a bad day. You might find you're more hungry when you're stressed. And it gets you to realize these signs so you don't overeat. Also, it causes you to think about more of the food you're eating, when you're eating, even why you're eating at the time. Do you really need that food? Are you really hungry, or are you just eating for the sake of it? Drawbacks. Obviously, it's a long and difficult process to train yourself to know if you actually need to eat, because you don't want to be under eating, you don't want to be starving yourself, you don't want to be restricting yourself with any nutrients or calories that you need. There are few guidelines to this one. There isn't much beyond training yourself to know if you're hungry, so there's no real plan to follow. It's just training yourself to realize when you're hungry. So it's a hit or miss diet. If it works for you, then by all means, but it is a harder diet to get around. So the next diet we're going to be looking at is the clean eating diet. So this diet is where you avoid all artificial foods and you only eat natural and whole foods. So that means no processed foods, nothing with high amounts of chemicals. And this is basically encouraging you to eat from farm shops, eat from your local markets, so you know that everything is fresh, it's not tampered with, it don't contain a load of GMs and all these other bits. And it's basically just eating full, hearty, fresh produce. Obviously, the positives is that it eliminates processed foods, so no extra chemicals, no tampering with your food. It does mean that you may lower your sugar and salt intake, because a lot of prepackaged food has higher salt intake and a higher sugar content. The downside is that fresh, organic produce can be costly. It's not a cheap diet, mind you. It can also be time consuming, creating all the meals, prepping, searching for the best deals around, and it can also be a restrictive diet. Depending on your own preference of eating, you may find that you don't find a lot of whole foods or natural foods that you actually like, because you're so used to having processed food. You haven't experienced eating whole foods or organic. So, depending on your eating habits, I would say this diet would either be a hit or a miss, depending on the person. The next diet we're going to look at is the Mayo Clinic diet. Now, this doesn't mean eating tons of mayo, so just in case you're wondering and we're thinking, oh my God, all you do is eat mayo. It's not. Basically, this is a low sugar intake and you eat nutrient-dense food. So this is to encourage to lower your sugar and bump up your nutrients. which is a good thing. It emphasizes eating fruit and veg, but there is no calorie counting. Big thumbs up, because we do love a diet without calorie counting. I personally do. I hate the idea of weighing and counting calories constantly. It puts so much pressure on you to make sure you keep to it. So this emphasizes fruit and veg, which you have to be careful with fruit and veg though, because some of the veg and fruits do contain a high amount of carbohydrates, a high amount of vitamins and proteins and nutrients. They're not always good for you, especially when it comes to your citrus fruits. They can be really high in sugar. The next thing is that it does restrict your food intake for the first 2 weeks. The idea is you have an initial phase where you cut everything literally back, just cut it back, and then you slowly bring it back in. So this may not appeal to everybody, being restrictive so quickly, but it does ease up on the reins as you go into the diet and you do it for more and more weeks, and then you add things gradually back in, but at a leisurely pace. So the next diet we're going to look at is the Supercarb Diet. So this is where you balance 40% protein, 30% complex carbs, 30% fat in every meal and every snack. I know, you're looking at me like, what? This is the diet. So this is where you eliminate processed foods and you emphasize healthy, high, rich fiber carb foods. So the idea is to bump up your protein and your carbs, keep a little bit of fat on there, but make it so it's like level. You level out the amount you're having, so neither one is more excessive. So you're not eating 80% fat and 20% protein. The specific times of day that you eat certain foods. So they do suggest that you eat your protein foods more in the day. That way you can burn them off. And then they suggest that you eat your more complex carbs if you're working out. That way you're burning them. So they do suggest specific times of the day to eat more of one of the protein, the carbs, or the fat. That way when you work out, you're burning them off. Maybe it's a diet that's not for everybody. This is probably more for people who work out, because then you're going to be burning these calories off, or you're going to be turning them into fat or muscle. So depending on your weight, your exercise preferences, this may or may not be good for you. The next diet we're going to look at is the anti-inflammatory diet. So this is a low sugar intake diet which emphasizes fish, healthy oils, and fats, but not bad fats. Because there are good fats out there in diets. There are good fats. This eliminates processed foods. Once again, in every diet, we do try and eliminate processed food because they do, like I said, they add so much sugar, salt, stuff you don't need in them. It's not a very restrictive diet. So if you're looking for one that doesn't just cut you out of every food group or cut you out of this, that, and the other, this is more of a ease-in diet. So it does restrict your food to a point, and the idea is to give up sugar. But not to give up sugar entirely, mind you. It's to lower sugar intake, so to bring that chance of diabetes down, but emphasizes the fish, the oils, the fats, so that it's not restrictive to your nutrients and everything that you need for your body. It's just trying to lower the chance of having too much sugar in your body, which is obviously a bad thing. It can lead to teeth, enamel decay. It's bad for your heart. It can lead to diabetes. So the next diet is one I'd never heard of before, and this is the Autoimmune Protocol, or AIP diet. So this one I had to research a little bit more. So this focuses on lean meats, makes you avoid dairy, and encourages healthy oils. So like fish, using olive oil, using coconut oil and that kind of things. This encourages you to eat more vegetables, not fruit this time, vegetables, because fruit has a high sugar intake. And it also gets you to eliminate, once again, those nasty processed foods. It is extremely restrictive though. They're asking you to eat just lean meat, they're asking you to eat veg, and they're asking you to avoid dairy entirely. This is a cut out dairy entirely, so no butter, no cream, no cheese, and a lot of things contain dairy. If you look in meals, you do use dairy, cream, cheese, quite a lot. So it can be restrictive, and it's a difficult diet to stick with because it has such less choice. It also tells you to not have too much sugar. So you're cutting out the sweet treats, you're cutting out your dairy, you're focusing on lean meats, you're not having too much fruit because it's a high sugar content. So it is a kind of restrict diet. So this one may not be for everybody again. As I've said in the beginning of all of these, not all of these diets are for everybody. Some will be dependent on your weight, your lifestyle, your goals you want to achieve, what your diet is like before you even start a diet. Do you have a fairly healthy diet and only need to tweak a little? Do you have a really unhealthy diet and need to completely have an overhaul? So it's each dependent on the person. So if you have any queries about diets and that, don't come to me. Go to your doctor, go to your practitioner, go to your nutritionist, your dietitianist, go to your personal trainer, talk to your gym instructor if you have one, before you take part in any diet. So these were the 6 diets today. I do have another video coming up that diets that work number 3, and there are plenty more videos coming out with health, nutrition and diet over the 30 days of July. If you'd like to see my playlist, I will link it in the description. I hope you found this video informative. Comment down below, do you do diets? Are there certain diets that you've tried? Do you find some work better than others? Like, subscribe, big thumbs up, and I will see you all very soon for another video. Take care and thanks for watching. Bye guys.